Yes. So since I'm using my iPad, Gautam, so my face is going to be like half visible and half. Is that okay? I hope that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, 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 yeah. I think this is fine. Yeah, yeah. I think this is fine.
All right. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, people are joining in. Yeah.
Good. Good. Let them maybe let there be some audience then, right?
Yeah, I think they'll just join in, so we can just start because there'll be a replay of it on YouTube anyway. So
All right.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. Because the thing is, with this page, for some reason, it restricts me toward an hour. So like
Oh,
towards the end of
okay.
the hour, yeah, it'll just like end the live even without me trying to hide it or whatsoever. Yeah. So I think we can just kind of start and just kind of go with it, and people will just join as time goes
So how
by.
would you want me
Yeah.
to
So
format and everything because we've never done this before, so people also know how to do it.
neither
What's the
have I,
format?
honestly. I guess you just, I guess you just ask the questions and like I'll start answering it, and yeah. So because it's like a live thing, right? So you can just ask whatever you want, and we'll just take it from there. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with a very basic question, which I think
Okay.
everybody wants to know.
Okay.
Um, we know manifestation. We keep manifesting things here every now and then, right? And then we
Yeah.
become really happy.
Mhm.
But the reason why we feel the most resistance about things that really matter to us is because deep down, like on a cellular level, we don't really believe that we are creating things. And this whole
Mm.
manifestation thing, conscious manifestation, is the way this world is happening, right?
Mhm.
Because we have been programmed ever since we've been born, like, especially in a country like India or even outside, like God is outside and then things are happening to you and you have to do a certain way. So
Yeah.
how do you reprogram yourself to such a level that even in the face of adversity you do not feel that something outside of you is doing something to you?
Like, how do you
Because
escape it? Is it? Yeah, yeah.
yes, because I have seen myself, like I've shared with you, I keep manifesting things and it's very happy, and I do conscious manifestation too. But when it comes to things that really trigger me, like for example, it's about a loved one's health.
Mhm.
Okay, that's very triggering for me. And then there are
Mhm.
certain patterns that have come with me from past lives. Okay, so I want to get rid of them, Gautam. So now, when technically I know on like a intellectual level, I know that this is I am creating everything. The fact that even it happened in the past life is also because I probably created it. But how do I get it embedded in my chip or like that mind that it's with me, you know,
I
even
think
in the
it's
face of
really, yeah,
adversity.
yeah, yeah. I think it's really like practice, if I'm really being honest, because like that's the whole point of this, right? Like this whole life is to understand that okay, we are God incarnate, we are really like, men, but in, like we look like a man, but we are actually God incarnate. Trying to realize that once again, and everything that we experience in life is leading us to that. So
Right.
the way I see it is like that's the point of this, right? Is to, see past that illusion and look at our true nature, who we are and what we are, and everything that we are manifesting, is leading us to that, like that truth. It's like closer to that truth. And yeah, so like what I would say is like, just try it, without any expectations, go into it like with faith, and it has to come true. And like with every manifestation, like you're proven right over and over and over again. And you're like, okay, so this is what's happening. So this is, this is actually true. And
Hmm.
you up the antiques, and like, you go for bigger things in life. And when that comes true, like you can't doubt it anymore. So like
That's
that's
what
what
I'm
I would
saying.
do.
Like,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
think to be able to manifest the bigger things, I start to get a little vulnerable and I start to get a little nervous. Then okay, I've done the small things, but will this happen? Is this possible? And then I become like an obstacle in my own manifestation. So how do I get rid of that?
Right. So like what I would do is that like you know the way I would get rid of, I won't be able to get rid of it like 100% all the time. Like
Right.
somewhere it will still be there.
Yeah.
So what I would do then is like, even if it's there, like I would try to, shift my focus to the end state, the end desire as much as I can. So I'll be
Okay.
constantly be nudging it. Like as long as my dominant thoughts at the end space, it should be fine.
Right.
Like, yeah, I won't be able to get rid of it 100% all the time, because there'll always be that part of me, that skeptic within me, that's going to be like, okay, is this going to come true? Is this going to be true all the
Yes.
time?
Yes.
Yeah. And I
Yes.
won't be able to get rid of it 100%. Like, I have manifested things still, like when I like was severely anxious and things like that. I still
Really?
managed to manifest things. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's
Like
a
my driver's
relief
test.
then. That's a relief. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I had extreme anxiety. Like the day before my driver's test, I remember I broke my glasses. Like that's how nervous I was.
Right.
Yeah,
And you got it
yeah. But I
done.
still, yeah, yeah, I passed the first time, because it was like I hit the curb and everything, and like it was a disaster. But I was like, okay, everything will be favorable for me, and I'm going to do it. And I still managed to pass. Like it was very narrow pass, but I still managed to pass. All because I viewed it in my head as, the paper, having that pass on it.
Right.
So yeah, like so that's something that I was able to do, and that was something that really like helped me to, like made me realize like, okay, even if you're anxious, you can still manifest, as long as your thoughts are, in a favorable headspace dominantly. So you can manifest things, just keep your thoughts in the dominantly in the favorable headspace as much as you can. Yeah.
Maybe not give attention to that thing that, oh, this is the bigger one. So not give it attention to my anxiety, you're saying.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You have to like constantly shift your attention to the wish fulfilled, and like keep focusing on that state of mind as much as you can. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So this was one thing. And very interesting. I was watching Netflix Indian Matchmaking, a hilarious show.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
so I
Is
was,
it a
when
reality
I
show? What is it about?
so it's a reality show. You know how Indian
Okay,
families have this Indian matchmaking, like arranged marriage
okay.
and this and
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's such a
yeah, yeah.
funny show. Like there's this
Okay, okay,
this
okay.
lady from Bombay, yeah, and she does matchmaking for NRIs in US, London and even Singapore and everybody. And then the reason why I watched it was like plain entertainment, because like, okay, so people are still doing that, right?
Right.
And something, it was about a woman. So now when I look at people, I can see, okay, so this is happening to her. It's because of her own beliefs. And it was right there in front of me. So there was this woman who, so this matchmaking lady, she was like, oh, you can't just list down things about your partner and you won't get 100%. You'll have to settle with 50 or 60% qualities. You can never get 100%. And then the people are like, all those contestants like, oh, okay. And they're sad and this and that. But then there was this one woman who said like, oh, this is not possible. You have to list down everything you want and you can get it. I don't think it's impossible. And she was the only, this was not even the whole point of the show, but she is the only one who actually got the guy she wanted with
Oh,
all her
okay,
qualities. But
okay,
then
okay, okay.
there was another woman
Hmm.
who, okay, so this is another limiting belief. And I want to ask you,
Okay,
I'll tell you a circumstance, and then you tell me what is the limiting belief behind it, right?
okay, sure,
So let's
sure. Yeah.
say when I was in London, yeah, um,
Mm-hmm.
when I was applying for jobs and everything, so there used to be two kinds of responses I used to get. One would tell me that I was not good enough for their position. Like I either lacked some qualification or I lacked some experience. And then I remembered I started to work on myself. I didn't know manifestation then, but I started to work like in the 3D, like learning new skills, and which affected my confidence. And then the responses I used to get was, you are too qualified for us.
I saw the video you sent. Yeah, so I kind of know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
way
yeah,
too
yeah.
qualified for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, okay, so the thing is, what I want is gonna be away from me. Either I'm gonna be too bad or too good. So what is that limiting belief behind this? And it comes in like, I think with this woman on this show, it was happening with men. Like, either the men were like, yeah, you're not good enough for me, and then she started to work on herself, and then the guy's like, well, you're too good, you're so amazing, you're too this and that, but no, this cannot work. I'm not good enough, or it's not you, it's me. You see what I'm saying? The thing is, and she
Mm-hmm.
kept questioning like, oh, so I am amazing, but I'm not good enough for you to work for me or stick to me or want me, like the exact it. You see what I'm saying? So what is the limiting belief here? that somebody
I
would not make the gesture to stick to you and want only you and move heaven and earth to be with you, and also for like getting exactly what you want.
Right. So, couple things there. Like one, maybe you may have that limiting belief that, you can't find the perfect gig or partner for you, right? Like you
Hmm.
will, maybe you think that it's impossible to find that perfect one for you. And the
Hmm.
other thing is like, maybe you think like, maybe it's like self, worth issues. Maybe, okay, like I may not get, someone who will do all those things for me, or maybe that, like I can never find a suitable, partner because they are intimidated by me, something along those lines. Something
Hmm.
that, that implies that, you can never find a perfect fit. You're
The one that
either
I want.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, 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 yeah. You're either like at both extreme ends, so therefore you can't have that perfect, that perfect balance, if you will. So I would say
Right.
is that limiting belief where you think like you can't get it, in the perfect way. You can't find that perfect one for you,
So
regardless of
I'll
what it
always have
is.
to
Yeah.
compromise. I'll either, I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
exactly. So there'll always be a compromise of sorts, and
Yeah.
yeah. So therefore, I can't find that perfect match for me. That there's no
Right.
such thing as like like a perfect fit for whatever I want. That is too good to be true, so to speak. So I think just coming at it from that perspective, yeah.
Right, right. Also, I think when I was going through, I was journaling and I realized I think maybe the limiting belief somewhere is also that what I want doesn't want me. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
This could
right,
also
right,
be
right.
that thing, right?
Yeah,
That,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like what I would do then is okay, so journaling is great because then you kind of like see the clutter in your mind but in paper right now. So
right,
everything is very clear. So
right.
so that statement, right, that you wrote, like what I would do in those instances, like what I always tell my clients is okay, write it down, strike it off and write an opposite favorable statement. So what was your statement again? Sorry, like what I want,
That the way I want someone, the person doesn't want me the same way. You
right,
know?
right, right.
Yeah,
That if that's your statement, you can write like, everyone like who I want, like my desire desires me, or the
right.
people who I want also want me, and things like that. So that's how you flip that statement, and this becomes your line
Okay.
of thought, or this becomes your affirmation at one
I
point,
got it.
right?
I got it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the discomfort while saying these statements because these are like new to my system and my nervous
Yeah, yeah,
system.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
does this dissolve with time? The
Yeah, it
discomfort?
does. It does. It does. It does. And the
Okay.
good news is that feelings don't matter because only thoughts create. Like, notice how I
Right.
told you when I had the anxiety, that was a feeling that I was experiencing, but I still
Right.
managed to
Right.
get my end result because my thoughts were in alignment to my desire, but not my feelings.
So even if I'm feeling shitty, excuse my language, but if I'm
So
still saying those
that's not
things,
even a language actually, but okay, go ahead.
so even if I'm feeling really bad and I still
Right.
have those thoughts,
Hmm.
it's all right.
Yeah, completely fine.
That's
Yeah.
really good. That's
Yeah,
so good to know.
that is good. That is good because that's the thing. Like you would have heard stories of like people just affirming even when they are like crying and things like that. Like
Yeah.
that's why it works. Like that's why it still works. Like even Neville's example, right, of the girl going to Samoa. I'm
Huh.
not sure if you read that story, but she would be crying and she would say like, "Oh, this isn't tears. This is the salt of the sea," and things like that. But she
Yeah.
was crying. She was feeling crappy, but she still managed to manifest her desires. You get what I
Right.
mean? Yeah. So
Right.
like, yeah, even in his stories, like you can see that feelings don't really matter. It's the thoughts that create. It was her thoughts that was in alignment to her goal, not her feelings. Her feelings was okay. I think her parents or dad passed away. Other 17
Okay.
year olds were like, celebrating the eve of
Okay.
Christmas, but she was coming back from work. She was really feeling crappy about the whole situation, but her thoughts were in alignment and she
Right.
felt it real at that moment. And
Right.
that's what made it manifest. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So, okay. So then this is sorted that, it's really not about your feeling. I think I'm always going to remember your driving test example, like always.
Right.
And that's like so, honestly, it's so encouraging. And it's like so,
Right,
I mean, even if you were feeling so bad, for me, it's like a breath of fresh air. And
right, right,
yeah,
right.
tell me, you're
No, no,
saying
no.
something.
Because no, because that test was like $300. So it was a
Wow.
lot. There was a lot at
Wow.
stake.
Wow.
And I've
Yeah.
heard like horror stories, like even, if you get into the car and you like drive past the stop line, that's an immediate failure. And that did happen for me in
Wow.
the rehearsals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
$300 gone even before they even begin the test. So
That's a lot of
like
anxiety material there,
it is, it
like,
is, it is, it is, it is, it is. Like, yeah. So the fact that like I hit the curb, I thought I was, that's it. I had to probably do it again. And yeah, like I could not believe it when I actually passed. I was like, how did I even pass?
so
Like,
basically, in spite of your feelings, you chose to
exactly.
technically think about something else. Just
Yeah,
technically.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
I get it. I get it
And
now.
this isn't like the only instance. Like I've had it like in several instances, like various
Yeah.
different permutations. But
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
gist of it was like, this was one of the extreme examples, I would say, because I remember the anxiety was extreme here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I'll give you one example. Recently, I did it, but I don't know
Hmm.
how I did it, just accidentally. So,
Okay.
I think because of my past programming and maybe some
Hmm.
past life issues, in certain places, I feel like people are not being honest to me, right?
Mm.
Or
Mm.
somebody is
Mm.
doing something which I don't want, and then things that are inside people's head that you anyway cannot see, right? So you can only speculate about that, right? So
Yeah.
recently something like this happened, and
Hmm.
like somebody said something to me, like a family member, and I was thinking, I don't know this. I mean, I started to feel in my gut, like in my belly, like, okay, I'm feeling a little anxious. This situation feels a little scary to me. So like I start to forcibly, because of my own compulsions, call it karma or call it assumptions or habit, I start to forcibly think that no, there are reasons that this person might not be completely honest to me. You see what I'm saying? Like there are reasons this person might have done this to me, and then I'm like, there were actually no reasons. It was just my compulsion, right? Like my intellect was telling me that, so I chose to, instead of in spite of those feelings in my gut and everywhere, I chose to tell myself that, listen, whatever you're feeling is not real, and what you choose is real anyway, because you can choose the past as well. You can totally shift to a different reality. So I technically gave myself that, and I calmed down. And then within like I think an hour,
Hmm.
I got into a conversation with that very person,
Oh,
and that
okay.
person, like, on their own, gave me some information which was like an evidence of what I had imagined. Like, they
Mm.
gave me an evidence of what they were saying is so true, And then I thought, like, okay, cool. So it's not really the people. I have gotten these compulsive habits because of maybe my past experiences, and which is why I even land myself in confusing situations which are not even where people are not very clear to me, where I have to speculate whether the person is true or not. Otherwise otherwise I know, like, I am so clear. The thing is, how they say, if you're worried, you
Hmm.
will only attract things that will worry you. That's all, because
Precisely.
that is the
Yeah.
only
Yeah. Yeah.
frequency, right? So it was not like, my assumption was not that the person is a liar. No, I knew the person is not a liar, but my assumption was that I have something to worry about. Like, should I be worried about? And then, which is why when they said things, it was so unclear that it left me confused again.
Mm. Mm.
And I
Mm.
had to technically move out of it, although I was feeling really, really bad, Gautam. Like, honestly, my question here is, if how we were discussing karma is
Mm.
nothing but these patterns you have had, right? So if it's mental, yes, you can get out of it, but sometimes it's on a cellular level, and then it may take time to reprogrammed, or maybe like with some practices like pranayama, we can stay away from them energetically. But when you have reached a level of enlightenment that you can understand these are patterns and this is not real, how do you inculcate trust in people? Like, for example, let's say somebody has, like, I want to be more trusting because I want to create a world, a reality where everybody is, or my people are, like, honest and transparent and truthful. So how do I how do I make sure that I never doubt and I always trust? How do I get rid of that?
I think just setting the rules that, okay, like people are always genuine with me, people are always, honest with me, and just imagining, okay, what would that look like in my world? Are people just like sending me receipts if they, send the payment to me already? Always people communicating with me. Think about what that would translate into your world. Okay,
In
what
personal
that would,
relationships, in personal
yeah, yeah.
relationships where somebody is talking to you, you might not always see it like in 3D, like what they're saying is true. So my question is not for the situation, I think it's for my own state. How do I get into that trusting state?
You give them the benefit of the doubt and you intend that they are always, being honest and genuine with you, and you
Okay.
take their word for it. Like, of course, why would they lie to me? Of course, they are honest with me. And you put them in that state of mind, in that state where they are actually that person who is honest and genuine with you.
Give
So you
them that
see,
space. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Put them in that state of mind who is, like, for example, that also applies for health as well, right? Like you put that person in a healthy state. You see them as being perfectly healthy. You see them as being perfectly honest and genuine. And when you see
Right.
them as that, because they are you pushed out, they have to reflect that, right?
Love
So
it.
they
Love it.
have to
Yeah.
externalize that. Yeah, 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 yeah,
So I
yeah.
think it's more about, I think it's a combination of self-concept that, okay, why would they lie to me? Because I deserve truthfulness. And
Hmm.
then seeing that person in their highest possible state, right? Like this
Yeah,
person
yeah,
deserves to
yeah,
be this. Okay, got it. Got
yeah,
it. So it's a
yeah, yeah.
combination. And then you're saying, even if I'm not used to it, if I keep practicing, it will solidify and I'll start to see evidence somehow or
Yeah,
other.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's the thing. Like you have to disregard the old state of mind and just keep going
Yeah.
with the new, regardless of what you see or you don't see in the 3D in the beginning, and just
Yeah.
solely place the emphasis on the inner world as much as possible. This is where a lot of people would go wrong, because the moment they don't see evidence is when they start to,
They go
kind
back.
of waver.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I always, come at it from that, that perspective of, okay, would you stop eating healthy if you don't see evidence within 2 weeks?
No, 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 no.
Precisely, yeah, because you know what
Yes.
eating healthy does for you. So it's
Yes.
very
Yeah.
important to stay on your course regardless of what you see or you don't see, because the change is internal and the external will reflect it. But first, the change has to take place within. And when you can
Right.
do that, like that, it will, like it will all come to fruition, effortlessly. Yeah.
Right. I think it also has something to do with understanding that we are the cause. So even if there's something, even if it's an illusion, even if we are just forcing ourselves to think that the person is being XYZ with us, that person is not doing that to us. We are the cause anyway. So I think that ways it's easier to imagine the opposite also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. Like we are always the cause of everything that
Exactly.
happens. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Exactly. Okay, also the one question, Gautam. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say now I know about law of assumption.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like let's say today I've gotten to know about it.
Okay.
And and everything that happened before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That obviously was also my assumptions,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But so was that, so obviously there are general assumptions, then there are
Mm.
specific assumptions. So are you saying before I knew about conscious manifestation and conscious assumptions, even whatever has been created was somehow because of my assumptions about either the world or myself or
Mm.
certain aspects of my life?
Yeah, it was all because of you. It was all because of your assumptions. Now, that seed may have
Wow.
been planted by someone else,
Right.
right?
Right.
But, because you believe that you accepted it without question, right? Especially when our parents tell us something, like we accept it without question. And
Right.
then we start to see evidence for it. And then that becomes, like stronger. That assumption becomes stronger because you have now seen evidence for it and you think, okay, that
Right.
must be true. And then that gets,
Right.
repeated over and over again, and that becomes a pattern in your life. That becomes your reality in your life.
So there was this another coach, I was looking at her video where she said the reason why before she knew about manifestation, the
Mm-hmm.
reason she attracted the love of her life, who was in a very difficult situation then, like he was trying to get out of, like Neville, he was trying to get out of a relationship, right? The reason why she attracted the person who was perfect for her who was still trying to get out of this thing is because she probably had an assumption that love is hard or perfect love is hard. You see what I'm saying? So these kind of things you're saying, that like even our general assumptions can manifest like situations like these.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's
No,
crazy. I
no, no.
mean,
It is. Yeah.
my lord.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
why it's so important to like kind of really see your programming and how, you are being like what are the thoughts in you. And that's why we have to really like break things down in the beginning. And that's why it takes a while for people to, for their first manifestation at least, like their first conscious manifestation, it takes a while because like they are like dissecting everything and seeing their old patterns and things like that. Yeah.
so how do we get how do we let go of that anger and frustration of certain things that we have manifested before? Let's say I found myself in situations because I didn't know manifestation before, like
Mm-hmm.
and like a situation like this, that she manifested a partner who was still getting out of this relationship. So how do you let go of that anger and frustration? Like, I wish I could have known manifestation before, and then I would have, like, attracted him at a time when he was finally over with this divorce or single and this and that. So
I
or do
think,
you just
yeah,
let go? Yeah.
yeah. Like what I would do then is, firstly, like see how everything kind of led us to this moment where we learned about it.
So we should be
And
grateful.
yeah, that's one way to see it, definitely. Like I would see it as okay, definitely see it as like okay, how far you have come, and this is a learning journey, and that it came at the right time, and whatnot. And the other thing is, like, okay, the past is irrelevant to your future.
Hmm.
So, okay, yes, those things may have happened, but
Hmm.
that's in no way, shape, or form, going to affect your future unless you decide so. So it
Right.
doesn't
Right.
matter. So rather than giving it that attention, like I would rather, shift that focus into the future where I'm already living the life of my dreams
Got it.
and
And
just
then
coming at
just
it from that
totally make it
perspective. Yeah.
irrelevant.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, we can sit down there and think about the past and, kind of mull
True.
over it, but like, you have a
True.
choice right now to focus elsewhere and manifest what you want. So the question is, what are you going to focus on then? Yeah.
True. Yeah, that makes more sense even from the quantum physics perspective, that like it really doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It truly, the
yeah.
past is completely irrelevant to, the future. The only reason why it looks like that is because, reality has to take a sequences of events, to transition smoothly. That's why it looks like it's connected, but it's not. Yeah,
It's not. It's
yeah.
like billions of pictures like placed together. I got
Certainly,
it.
yes. Yeah.
Like how, like videos are made, like there are multiple shots, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
similar. I got it. I
Yeah.
think reminding myself of that is going to help me so much.
That's the thing. Like, it's not that we don't know about all these things. It's about remembering those things in pivotal moments, and
Right.
yeah, and guiding ourselves, and like through those things. That's the main thing. It's not that people don't know these things. It's more about can you remember it during crucial times. You know,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
like, and I think that's the main thing there. Like, can you hold on to this knowledge, during pivotal times and navigate it through then? And yeah, like that's something that I would definitely, like ask, anyone who has been through this is, can you do that? Because if you can do that, then that means you're applying it then, you know? So
Like I
yeah.
always say, you ask the most relevant questions and you always hit the nail on the head, like
I
it's
mean,
like
yeah, I'm glad I do.
mic drop thing. Yeah, really, because like the version of me, like if I'm putting this phone down, putting this pen down, the version of me is holding it can be completely different from the one who just put it down.
Yeah,
These are the
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like differences we need to remind ourselves every time.
Yeah.
And if only
It's
we
really
can
that
remember
awareness,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, if only we can just remember. So like you asked, can you remember? How do we remind ourselves of that? How do we, like, do we have like these very important statements? Like, I think these are the kind of things that we need to affirm rather than affirming this person loves me, or these are the kind of things that we need to keep reminding ourselves to be a master manifestor.
Yeah, it's really, and that comes through like being present as much as possible, not getting sucked into things.
The 3D. Right.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like just getting not even the 3D. Honestly, it's like just getting sucked into the day-to-day aspects of things. Like
The
yeah,
Maya,
like
the Maya of this world.
yeah. Like like our job, getting sucked into that whole thing of social media, things like that. Like, can you still be present? Can you take a moment to be like, okay, this is what I'm thinking right now. This is where my thoughts are. And like I always tell my clients, like, okay, every hour or two, check on yourselves, like where your thoughts are at with regards to your desires. And like
Right.
that will kind of give you that gauge as to, okay, this is where I'm at right now. If I'm not in the ideal state of mind, I'll shift right now. And then every hour or
That's a
two, kind
very
of,
good advice.
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
write
yeah,
that
yeah.
down,
Okay.
Gautam. That's a very, very good advice. Every 2 hours, check yourself,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
okay, there was a question. Somebody asked this question, which I would like to talk about also. They said, how do you know if someone is your twin flame? Adelita1298. And so a long time back, like maybe like 3-4 years back, 6 years
Hmm.
back, I started to read about it. And then, you get sucked into this concept and like twin flames and soulmates and this and that, because there are like multiple pages that are talking about this and like earning money out of this concept. But when now I've reached a level where I
Hmm.
do understand that even like on a soul level, on a like like energetical level, this is not possible, that there was like one soul and that split into two souls and this and that. Doesn't make sense on a scientific level also, right? And but then the fact that we have law of assumption, right? So everything is you pushed out, even a concept is you pushed out, right? So if you have that in your mind, you will start to attract these kind of concepts, and these kind of concepts will start to play in your
Mm.
life,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the thing. So I mean, if now I don't believe in twin flames, so it doesn't bother me. Like my life is like happy and these things are not playing their role. But when I did, everything was happening according to what I've heard about twin flames.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay, okay,
That's
okay.
fine. That's fine. But
Yeah.
that was a really,
Yeah, I was trying to
really
like
cool
look at. I think I
discovery.
have. Yeah. I was trying to see if there's any questions on my private, but yeah, there isn't any. Okay, so with regards to twin flames, like what I would say is that I don't mean to crush anyone's beliefs or something. Like definitely, I looked into it as well.
Yeah.
Like what you said, like because whatever I assume becomes true. If I don't,
Exactly.
entertain that
Exactly.
concept, like that won't be true in my reality. And the other thing
Yes.
is, one thing I've noticed about twin flames, and you tell me about this, what do you think? But one thing I've noticed is it seems like sometimes it's like a very toxic relationship sometimes. Like when someone define their
5,000%,
relationships as
10,000%, 100,000%. It's, oh my
yeah,
God,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
toxic is not even the word.
Yeah, because like one thing I've noticed is like when they were describing the characteristics of it, I was like, wait, isn't this a little toxic by any chance? Like that was my first thought, like
Yes.
when I was reading all the characteristics of it. And so I was like, okay, listen, like if you think it's a twin flame, great, but like it doesn't have to be a twin flame for it to work out. So stop like betting money
Yes.
on that aspect. Like, so what if this person isn't your twin flame? If you want them, you want them. That's it. And that felt liberating for me. Like, so okay, if I want them,
Yeah.
I got them. That's it. Like, I'm not going to put any more labels on it, and I don't even like to put any labels on myself either.
Same here, man.
Yeah,
Same here.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Putting labels is like probably one of the most limiting things that you can do to yourself. you know
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
why bother, because you're a limitless being, right? Because
Yes.
that's the thing, right? Like your awareness is faceless and formless and is unconditioned. So every time
Absolutely.
when you label yourself, you're conditioning yourself. But if you are limitless, well, why label yourself as X, Y, and Z? You can be anything and
Love, I
everything that
think,
you want to be.
yes, yes. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm cutting you because I'm so excited to tell you
No, no,
one
no.
thing.
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
think
Yeah.
one more thing about this twin flame concept is that they have given it a narrative. Yeah, they have given it such a story. Oh, there has to be a runner, and then there has to be a chaser, and then this will happen, and then there will be, and then you are complying to that. That means if you believe in twin flames, then you don't believe in law of assumption, because somebody else is talking about your phases and what happens, right? So, which is why law of assumption and twin flames, it just doesn't go together for me. If as a
Yeah.
concept, like
Yeah.
feeling close to someone, feeling like this person is your other half, then it's fine. But those, those characteristics like, oh, then, the moon cycle has changed, the twin flames are not talking to each other, and then it will change, and then you'll get back together. That is, I think that's BS.
Oh, I've never really heard of that part before. This is the first
What
time
are
I'm
you
hearing.
saying? What are you saying? It's all, which is why it's toxic. So,
Right.
there's a story
I
attached
didn't
to
look
twin
into it
flame.
as I didn't look into it as deeply, if I'm really being honest, because
Oh,
like
so twin
yeah,
flame, the main crux of the twin flame story is that if somebody
right.
is a twin flame, there will be many separations, and then they'll keep on
Yeah,
happening
yeah, yeah,
until you
yeah,
are
yeah.
evolved and until you're together. How, I
I
mean,
don't
that
have time
makes
for that.
exactly. A, I don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
time for that. Secondly, that
yeah.
means somebody else is controlling my evolution, or somebody else is
Precisely.
deciding
Yeah.
when I
That's
evolve.
even with like law of attraction. That's one thing I kind of didn't resonate with. And that kind of just clicked for me in law of assumption was
Yeah.
there's a separate entity called the universe. Like the universe is a separate entity from you.
Yes. Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like you're co-creating with the universe rather than you just being the sole operant power. So
Yes.
that concept was like so empowering because it puts the accountability on you more than anyone else. Because then if
Exactly.
you are failing, then in law of attraction, like one thing I've noticed was people will ask, well, why is the universe doing this to me? So the blame gets shifted into another entity.
Yes.
Whereas
Same
right
with
now
twin
it's
flame.
yeah,
Same
yeah,
with
yeah,
twin flame.
yeah. It's always the other entity. So I feel like it's an excuse for folks to kind of like shift the blame
Absolutely.
elsewhere. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, well, this is like in law of assumption, well, it's all you. So if you're going to be frustrated,
Because
it's going to be all on you. Yeah, yeah.
because I read this like huge thing about this twin flame. Also, these days, divine feminine is doing this, but masculine is not ready. How? Then that person is not you pushed out, right? That means it's a separate entity, and you have to wait for that thing. So, which is why I think twin flame definitely is something which is anti law of assumption and anti the concept of everybody's you pushed out. And personally, even in like I said, I was reading Shiv Puran, and I was reading these scriptures where we do talk about Brahmasmi, like you are the creator of your own universe, your own thing, and then also there is only one consciousness. It's just you. That's
Yeah,
it. You
yeah.
in so many different forms. So
Yeah.
which is so aligned with everybody's you pushed out. So
Oh,
very aligned.
yeah. A lot of religious
So
concepts actually explore this, but yeah, like it's not really dug in deep and like not enough people talk about it, I guess.
they
But
didn't have the
yeah,
time also like to do all of the work. Like our
yeah,
sages did that long time back. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, even like for people like I think if anybody is listening about twin flames, I think it's okay to believe that somebody is so close to you that you almost feel like they're a part of you. But then still, whether you call them a twin flame or soulmate or whatever, they are still reflecting what's going on inside you. So they're not separate from us. I mean, because this is a very weird concept. So no, I don't think I believe in twin flames.
Yeah. Anything that doesn't put me in a state of like peace, and I don't try to confuse myself with too many things out there. I try to keep it simple and narrow and
Yeah,
streamlined as much as I can because that's the way
yeah,
I function. So I don't try to
yeah,
complicate things. I mean, I could read it just for like, okay, so this is what my clients are talking about. Just for that purpose, I might go and like explore some of these things because
yeah.
just to kind of grasp that like what are they experiencing and stuff. But like do I get into it? And that's the same thing with tarot. I mean, I follow a lot of tarot pages. Like I am friends with a lot of them, but like, like I just take it as an indication of, okay, where is my state of mind, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
it's fun though. Like like pick a card, this that. Like it's fun. Like I'll be the first one to admit it. But like at the same time, I'll be like, okay, this is where my thoughts at right now. So if it's in alignment, great, keep going. But if it's not, okay, time to change your thoughts. That's it. I don't take it as okay, this is set in stone right now and things like that. That I
I
don't
think
do
this is
that to
what
myself.
people should.
Yeah.
This is what people should think when they're reading these pages of twin flame and soulmate readings.
Mm.
Also, like if
Mm.
anybody's saying you that
Absolutely.
this is
Yeah.
not, yeah, like if anybody tells you this is not your time for union with your twin flame, then it's not them, it's you.
Oh yeah.
You are thinking like that. You know.
Yeah. Because everyone is you pushed out. The world is just reflecting what you're thinking. This is exactly
Absolutely.
what you're getting shown. So yeah, you have to change that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can even like rubbish the whole concept if you want. and then the proof will come to you. Like, for example, I remember I did that long time back, right? I said, like, no, this does not make sense to me. Something inside of me was telling me. And then I came across this video of Sadhguru and then a certain other teachers like Osho, where they're talking about soulmates. And they're saying your body can need a mate, your mind can need a mate, but your soul is pure awareness, doesn't need a mate anyway. You know?
Precisely. Yeah. It's
Right,
pure
your
awareness.
body
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
mind
Yeah.
can need it, right? But your soul, that pure awareness, doesn't need anything because there are no emotions,
It's
nothing. It's
whole.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
awareness.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So he rubbished the fact that soulmate. He said you can go on, talk about it, romanticize it if you want, but then there's no such thing as soulmate or twin flame
Yeah.
or
He
anything.
completely
It's
debunked it within like one sentence. Like, dude, that's mind blowing.
absolutely, he's so
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah. 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 That is great.
He was
Yeah.
like, your
Yeah.
soul
Yeah.
doesn't need a mate. And then he laughed. He laughed saying your soul doesn't need a mate. And he kept laughing after that. Anyway, so I mean, if we look at Neville's thing also, like if our soul is just pure awareness, then it's gone. The concept of twin flame soulmate is gone. It's over.
Yeah. 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 No, I completely agree with that because like I resonate with that 100% because I feel like when you come at it from that perspective, it detaches you. You're not betting
Yeah.
all your money on this whole thing and stressing yourself out and things like that.
Yes.
Like I always tell people,
Yes.
like there's nothing that they can give that you can't give yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
when it's our mind, this, so like I was reading the structure of soul, and then where is the mind? Like there is this pure awareness, and then there's mind. Mind is also like a manifestation of thoughts, right? So mind is that faculty that has been given to us to be able to think and create and do all these things. So I guess you can certainly, if it's a mind-made concept, then it's nowhere related to the soul anyway. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
is nice to romanticize the idea, but then again, not in a way that it's limiting you. Like the power is in somebody else's hand. Like if
I
you could
agree.
just say that my soulmate is my reflection and I can get my soulmate, I think that's cool.
Yeah. Like I think, I wouldn't want to because I am all about, freedom in its truest sense. Like
Yeah.
one thing that really kind of set me on this journey,
Mm.
is like, okay, like what do I want out of life? And one thing that really came to my mind was freedom in its truest
Mm.
sense. So that's why,
Mm.
labeling, for example, um,
Yes.
you know, yeah. Like when people ask
Love
me,
it,
like,
Kautal. Thanks for
yeah.
talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, having a partner, like, there's the idea or like societal expectations, okay, you should have XYZ done by this time, right? Like removing from everything, not
Mm.
pursuing success in a societal convention. Like I disassociated myself from everything. Like, and that goes two ways too. When success comes, you are not like, you don't have the pride either because it means nothing at the end of the day. If
Absolutely.
you make it mean something, then yes, great. But if you don't
It's
have it, it also means nothing. So
it's a state of mind.
yeah, it's a state of mind where you're like, okay, cool. Like whatever happens, happens. I'm cool with it. And like you're just
Yeah.
embracing life and you're just like going into it. Like if it's one thing, and that liberates you because you're not putting pressure on yourself in any way. Like if
That's
anything,
true.
like that would be the ideal state of mind to like constantly like reach towards is. And I'm definitely a work in progress in this, of course, but it's like, the more you go into this, it's like disassociating with everything. Like I think in my previous
Right.
life I was talking about this, like for business owners and everything, like you don't associate like money and business as, counterintuitive as it may seem. Like one thing I'll always ask business owners is, are you willing to do this even if you're not earning a single penny? you
Right.
know yeah,
Right.
because that is what, like, because money can come to you in many different ways. It doesn't have to
Many
come to
different
you through,
ways.
yeah, it
Yes.
doesn't have to come to you through your
Yes.
business. That's a limiting
Yes.
thing right there. So like one
Yeah.
thing I realized in that process as I was talking about it was like disassociation, not just with like different concepts, but like with everything is the key to just having a peaceful life, and will just come to you when you have internal peace. That's what you experience on the outside as well, and you just go by your life with just relief, and like you will just attract whatever you want. Like, okay, you
Right.
can still have wants, but the fact that you're disassociated from everything, like it just kind of flows into your life because you don't have any preconceived notions, you don't have any limiting beliefs there, you are not questioning your worth and everything, and things just comes to you. Yeah.
Right. I think this is the hardest thing, because sometimes by associating ourselves and identifying ourselves with certain concepts and certain identities, we feel we give ourselves more worthiness and we feel more important. And I think is wrong. That is like like somebody said here that I'm feeling empty if, after seeing that the concept has been debunked. So that definitely is that your self concept is not there, because you need to because how it helped me is that I started to tell
Mm.
myself that this is my reality, and I even have the freedom to create my own concepts. So like tomorrow, if you debunk the concept of twin flame, you can come up with something that is completely relevant to only you, like a unique concept for you and your SP, just for you. Like for example, he is your partner in every reality, or he's one with you, or something like that, and that will work for you. So why are you
Mm.
giving power to a word or a concept made by some XYZ person who came up with this really funky hippie word, twin flame, So maybe come up with a new concept which is only true for you. I think that is
Mm.
more sacred for you and your partner. So I would say just get rid of these concepts which are not happy, which don't make you feel like you are the god, and become the goddess of your reality, and create a new concept that works for you. And
Mm.
this disassociation, this identification thing, I think is the key of everything. And it can be hard and tricky, but I
It's
think with
definitely, yeah,
practice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. With practice, yeah, you would definitely get there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're saying that you don't like labels, so I see it on your page also, and even on Instagram. Like even after I used to have like this public page on Instagram where my talks and my shoots and everything was there, and there were like
Okay.
many followers and everything. And then after some time, I started to feel a little empty. That
Hmm.
everything what I wanted to put out there was coming from a place of that I wanted something, I wanted to portray something there, like, and but then everything was limiting me. Do I write speaker? Do I write activist? Do I write designer? But nothing was making me feel whole and complete. So I got rid of that page. Even I don't know if it's unhealthy, but even today I'm at a stage where I don't even feel the need to like write my name out there. You know, like I just
Mm.
feel so complete by just being there and doing the things that I like. And even like how when I told you I manifested this modeling thing,
Mm.
it
Mm.
was
Mm.
sheer from the place of me wanting to enjoy being like dressing up and being out there on the billboards and doing things I like, not because I wanted the name to be there. And then I'm not even denying that materialistic desire to be liked for my work. It's there.
Mm.
It's there. But then that labeling thing is completely gone. Like I want to be, I feel like a force of nature, like, like everybody else. And then
Yeah, 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 yeah.
just being like a wind, like just being there
You
and
just want
doing
to
things I like
experience things just for the sake of it. Like there's no
for the sake
egotistical
of it.
perspective there attached to it. You don't feel the need to like prove something to someone. You want to enjoy it because you
Exactly.
want to enjoy it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like somebody was asking me, oh, so would you like to leave your cafe? And I'm like, that's not legacy. For me, legacy is not what I leave behind, because then I won't be there to enjoy it anyway. For
Precisely.
me,
Yeah.
what matters is that as long as I'm here, I should really, really have fun and do things that I like. Once I'm gone, then I'm gone. Who cares?
Yeah, no, 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 truly, truly, like that's how pointless life can be actually. Like we give
Yeah.
meaning to everything. Like even like I was just asking myself the other day, I think like if you had a like people ask you to choose between a Lambo and like a Volkswagen Beetle, like I'll choose a Beetle any day,
Yeah.
right? It's an
I
old
love
car,
Beetle.
it's a
I love
classic.
Beetle. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Honestly, I love
Compact.
it. And it's
So
like,
chic.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it's like from the outside it will be like, dude, you're the biggest fool. Like, why would you choose like, a Beetle or a Lambo and things like that? But it's like, well, that's what I want. And I'm like, okay,
Exactly.
I was like telling myself like, I'm glad you have that clarity. Like you are winning at life right now. I'm like, good. This is what you want. This is what you get.
That's
And that is
amazing.
so important. That's so
Yeah.
important because you're not doing things like I kid you not, like in my personal page, I don't think a lot of people actually know what I'm doing. Like this whole thing that I'm doing right now on YouTube and everything, no one has any clue about it. Maybe one or two people, because who I've added in my personal page, knows, but that's it. Like very few, maybe 10% knows. 90% is unaware of the fact that I even have this page and what I even do. Like that's because I don't like to define myself. Okay, I'm this. Like the other time, there was one person who asked me, "Oh, where are you from? Which part of India are you from?" And I just said, "Okay, I was from this part." And they're like, "Oh, you're South Indian." I'm like, I don't see myself as that. And it's not like I'm discarding my heritage for some reason. It's more
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
just don't see it as I'm this or that. Like these are borders that are carved up by men. I was thinking about this the other day. My grandfather was born in 1919, right? And when you ask like what was the neighbor to India back then, it was not Pakistan because Pakistan didn't even exist. It was Afghanistan,
Right,
India's closest
right,
neighbor. That gives you
right.
the perspective that like, things are always changing. These are borders carved up by man.
Yeah,
Like if you
yeah.
just like, yeah, and when you see yourself as a global citizen, like, or like just another person, like when you kind of just disassociate with everything, it's like you can be anyone and anything you want. Like,
That is so
the
true. That
possibilities
is
are
so true.
limitless.
That is so true.
Yeah, so like that's something that I was like thinking about, and I'm like, you know what, things are always changing, and so like the things that we attach ourselves to, right? Like career-wise, even I'm this, I'm
Hmm.
that. That
Hmm.
is so limiting in so many different ways because when you attach yourself to a specific career, you only
Yeah,
think that way,
yeah.
and that's it. You can't think outside of that because you're
But
putting
isn't
an
it what?
identity on yourself.
But isn't that what conscious manifestation is about? That you first you uh, unlearn, become like you give such a brilliant, um, I think how do you call it, analogy in one of your videos on YouTube. I was watching it, and you said that
Okay.
look at it like a timeline, like.
Right.
So like here, when it comes to zero, like on the minus side is the one that you have,
Right. 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 Yeah.
you were. So you come back, come back, come back, come to zero. Now you're zero, you're shunya, right? And then you start to fill yourself with what you would like to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I think when you said that, you disassociate yourself, and then once you've done that, I think it gives you the power to associate yourself with who you would like to
Who you
be
would like
or
to
what
be.
you would
Yeah.
like to,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like for example, I would like to not even associate myself to this planet. Sometimes I feel that I have probably lived many lives on different planets in my past lives too. Like I'm very, very sure about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
like when I'm in my dhyan, right? And so I meditate with Shiva in my mind. So sometimes I have visions which are not very earthly. Okay, so I sometimes feel that I have certain memories or certain things. I tap into that. So, but then there are certain things I would like to attach myself to. Like it could be a career, it could be the kind of partner I want, or it could be the kind of body I would like in this experience. So my question here is, one, that we have to keep reminding ourselves that it's just us. It's just us. Like it's just I, right? That's all. And then
Mm-hmm.
everything is me pushed out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
concept, like we were talking, like whether it's a concept like twin flame or soulmate or whatever, or it's like a war happening in the world, or
Mm.
some health epidemic happening or anything. So when certain things like that trigger us, like this was triggering for this lady, this concept was triggering the soulmate twin flame concept, although it was
Mm-hmm.
not making her happy. How do we disconnect, how do we get back to that state and reclaim our power and always stay in that state that I am God, and everything else is man-made or mind-made, and I can choose to reject any rule, and then I can choose to keep the rules I want. How do we reject the rules that have been around so much, that seem so real sometimes?
Okay, so what I would do is that like I would use my like internal compass to see if it resonates with me or if it doesn't resonate with me. Because if it
If it
resonates
doesn't
with me,
resonate with me, if it doesn't,
yeah,
then how do I reject it? Sometimes things seem so real. It's like, oh, this is what happens, but then I don't want it, and then I feel like, oh, this
right,
is real.
right. So there was this incident like a couple of weeks back. I think like my friends and I were talking about, and I was like telling my friend, like, dude, we might legit have World War III. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, we were just laughing about it and talking about it. And one of my friends said, not in my reality. And that stuck with me. And I was like, by not choosing to accept it, regardless of how the evidence kind of shows you that, like, no matter what the 3D shows you, you simply tell yourself, like, not in my reality. I mean, like, take a look at Neville, right? Like, he was in his 40s, like, he was drafted into, the army to go to World War II. But he got out. Like, he wasn't in the battles. He wasn't in anything. He went by his life, like, because it was not in his reality. The entire world was experiencing it except, like, him, probably, right? Because that was not in his reality. So you can always tell yourself, not in my reality. Right? Like,
Right.
it may happen for others. Like, I remember going through school, and like that was like one of the worst periods of my life, and my best friend was like, that was the best period of my life. You see the difference there? Like, yeah, that was the most traumatizing part of my life at one point, because I was going through like anxiety and whatnot. But to my friend, it was the best part of the life. Like, you can go through the exact same location, the exact same places, and you can still experience two different things.
Yeah.
So you can like, refuse to accept that, and in doing so, you're not like giving it power, and
Right.
more importantly, you choose to like focus on what you want, and that's what you're going to manifest.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thanks for that one. I
Oh,
hope the
you're welcome.
lady Malvika also heard
Oh,
that.
she's a friend of mine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's your answer. One second, one second. Just
Sure, 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 sure. Okay, guys, I'm not sure how many questions I can answer. If I'm really being honest, there's like a few at this point. So what you guys can do is you can leave it in the comments of the YouTube video replay that I'm going to be putting up, and I'll answer it there. So, rather than like, putting it here, because I don't know, the questions won't show up. Ideally, I would end it in a couple minutes more. So yeah, if you guys can like copy paste your questions onto the YouTube comments, I'll post this video later. So you can ask it there, and that'll really, help me a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, everything is fine. So my, Valentine, like my dog, he started to scream, and so I left him
Oh,
in some other room. Yeah, he's
okay,
like,
okay, okay,
what is
okay.
he doing?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, he hasn't seen me, he's like, oh, she's dressed up and she's in front of the camera. Like, what is she doing? He's very clever.
Right, 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 right.
Okay, so one more thing. So do we still have time?
Yeah, for some reason it's not like, the timer hasn't gone up yet, but like ideally, like it should probably like end within a couple. Oh yeah, you see, it's 2 minutes right now. It's showing me already. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I think it's pretty much done. Like, how to trust is done, and okay, so like when it involves a state of mind of another person, when we want to manifest a state of mind of somebody else, how do you visualize that? Because sometimes the end state, because state of mind doesn't always have a very 3D proof or evidence. You see what I'm saying? Like, for example, if I want a friend to be at peace and let go of something that's hurting her, or let go of something toxic. So when I visualize that, how do I visualize the end state when it's inside
I would say
somebody's
like,
head?
having some sort of an inner conversation with them, where their conversations and their attitude looks different and feels different. They are more optimistic in their conversations. They speak good things and things like that, and that will really help you. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then just deciding that once I've decided that, so this has happened.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
believe it.
You just put that label. Okay, this person is now healthy. This person is now a loving person and a kind person, and just carrying out conversations from that perspective. That will help you.
Okay, but it's all about trusting my decision that once I've decided it, so it's done.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Regardless of what you see or you don't see in the 3D in the beginning. Yeah.
In the beginning. But
Okay, we
then,
literally have like 20 seconds. So yeah, I'm so sorry.
cool. Then we're done. We're done.
Okay,
So
sure,
thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'll definitely answer it like in your DMs. But yeah, but thank you
Absolutely,
for
that's
coming.
fine.
And yeah, guys, thank you for joining. And yeah, is there anything you want to say?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
No, I just want to thank you, Gautam. It was so
Okay.
lovely, and the way
Yeah, you're
you've
welcome.
talked about everything.